Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Saturday morning practice. We'll be spending the next hour and a half together. And then after that, hopefully after 9 a.m. Pacific time, I'll be doing a Dharma talk as I've done in the past 2 months or so. And just a reminder, I'll be getting the last check for the year 2024 from Insight Timer in a matter of days now. And then so by then I would do an accounting of how much money we have collected from Insight Timer from all of you in 2024, plus the donation that the subscription that you give to my Patreon platform. All of that would be total, and then there will be a one-to-one matching. So the entire amount would be sent to Venerable Hong, and who some of you probably know, who whenever available will practice with us the first Tuesday evening of the month. Okay. Now, Venerable Hong dedicate his entire life to bringing compassion and loving kindness to those who are incarcerated, mainly in the Southern California area. Once a year, twice a year, he comes up to another prison in the Northern California where I can join him. As you know, we have a fire, we have disasters in Los Angeles. Many firefighters from all over the world came to help. Some of them even come from South Africa, as I know. Now, it turns out that 1/3 of the total workforce that were the first line responders were inmates. There are more than 1,000 of them who are, first of all, cannot be murderers. They cannot commit violent crime or similar to murder. Second is that they must have good behavior. And then they are allowed to live in what is called a fire camp. They get to breathe fresh air. They get to eat food better than just stale bread. And then basically they spend the day clear the bushes, doing whatever is necessary. And then when there's a fire, they actually participate in putting out the fire. So just a reminder, all of your donations go towards that. Now, Venerable Hong is just one person. There are many other people bringing compassion and loving kindness to those who are incarcerated. And we practice here mainly for our own salvation, but at the same time, it's sort of the yin and yang. We also need to practice compassion and loving kindness. So this is just one way. Now, you don't have to actually make donation here. You can also subscribe to the Patreon. You don't have to give a lot of money, right? $1, $2, that's enough. It's really to promote your inner strength, your inner shyness. All right, so enough of that. And so let's go concentrate on our practice. Today, we alternate every week for those of you who are new here. And today, we're going to be practicing something called pranayama. It's one of the 8 limbs of yoga. In America, we typically focus on one of that, which is called the asana, the practice of the body. So we'll do the practice of the body, we practice of the breath, and then we practice on the mind. Together, those are the 3 branches of the 8 limbs of yoga. Now, as it turns out, prana is breathing, but it's not just the way you think about breathing, which is through the nostril, through the nose. It's actually breathing with the stomach. It's in fact called anapanasati. And today I'm going to be talking about sati. In the Dharma lecture, sati means mindfulness, and anapana means the breathing in and breathing out. But it's really about the stomach. When you breathe in, the stomach opens. When you breathe out, the stomach contracts. Mainly to use the diaphragm. Okay, so we're going to be talking about that and the health benefit of that. Let's just concentrate now on our body. Focus our mind on the lower back. I call it anchoring. The reason I call it anchoring is that we often think of mindfulness beyond its original meaning. Mindfulness, as I will talk about at 9 o'clock today, is just remembrance. So anchoring is a better word for that, as far as I'm concerned. Let's anchor our mind on our lower back. Let's move up towards the top of the head, one step at a time, one joint at a time. Stretch your spine as we move towards the top of the head. Now focus on the top of a shoulder, lift up a shoulder, lift up an entire upper torso as if you're bringing your shoulder to your ears. And now open that shoulder as if you're squeezing a tennis ball in the back. Now lean back, upper torso, relax the shoulder, relax the spine. We're going to be doing joint exercise starting from the wrist. I want you to focus on the wrist, feel the wrist. Then we're going to do the elbow, focus on the elbow. Then we're going to do the shoulder, focus on the shoulder. Now keep in mind that we are doing mindfulness meditation. Our mindfulness meditation is actually done on all four postures: sitting, standing. It can't be done lying down. We don't actually do it here, but I encourage you to use your sleep as a practice. And then walking. We don't actually do walking meditation here, but we substitute with exercise. So whatever it is that you're doing 24 hours a day, you are supposed to be doing meditation, mindfulness meditation. So right now, we want to focus on the center of a palm. I want you to bring the hands up together with your mind. Bring it all up. Now, the mind-body togetherness is in fact the meaning of yoga. Now, bring it up to your shoulder level. Now, I want you to focus on your wrists. I want you to turn your wrist one turn at a time, thinking that there's a beginning of the turn and there's an ending of the turn. At the beginning of the turn, I want you to focus on your mind. Remind yourself that my mind needs to be on the wrist. If your mind is somewhere else, this training requires you to invite your mind back to your wrist. As you turn, you focus entirely on your wrist, on the sensation of your wrist. See if there's any heat, sweat, numbness, pain, any kind of sensation. And then when you finish at the end of that turn, it's time to remind ourselves to and focus on it again. So in fact, you're actually going to be doing what I'll be talking about today as well as next week, which is the foundation of mindfulness, which consists not only of mindfulness, but diligence and faith. One turn at a time. Now turn it the other way. Again, beginning, focus is when you check your mind. At the end is when you recommit. One turn at a time, focus entirely on the sensation. Now I want you to bring your hands down, but focus on the center of the palm first. Bring it back down the same way you brought it up. Then I want you to adjust your posture by stretching your spine, bringing up your shoulder, open your shoulder, lean back your upper torso, relax your shoulder, relax your spine. Now I want you to focus on the center of your palm again, bring it back up slowly, mindfully, all the way up to the shoulder level. Now I want you to focus on the elbow. Turn your elbow. Once again, each turn is independent of the other. Each time you turn at the very beginning, you're starting from zero. It's a time that you check to make sure that your mind is on your elbow and you commit yourself to being mindful all the way down from the beginning to the end. And then at the very end, you recommit yourself one turn at a time, one turn at a time, one turn at a time. And then now we go back to the other way, one turn at a time. So doing the joint exercises and meditation is no different than meditating on your breath. So when we're moving, whether we're walking, exercising, that's when we meditate in motion. We focus our mind on our body. When we sit, when we stand, when we lie down, that's when we focus our mind on our breath. One turn at a time. Now bring it back down together with your mind. Stretch the spine again, lift up the shoulder, open the shoulder, lean back, relax the shoulder, relax the spine. Now we're going from the elbow, we're going from the wrist to the elbow to the shoulder. Let's focus on the center of a palm. Let's bring up a hand, cross a hand in front of us, on top of us. Now I want you to point the fingers towards the ceiling and stretch yourself as hard as you can. And then focus on the center of the palm. Turn your palm outward. Open the shoulder. Feel the change in your shoulder. Let go of that. Focus on your palm again. Bring it back up in front of you, on top of you. Point the fingers towards the ceiling. Stretch. And then turn your wrists, palms facing outward. Open that shoulder. Feel the change in your shoulder. Remain focused on the center of your palm. One at a time. Stretch. Open. Feel the pain. Let go of the pain. Come back to the center of your palm. Bring it back up. Stretch. Open. Relax. Recommit yourself. Stretch. Open. Relax. One more time. Bring it up. Stretch. Open. And then relax. Now we're going to turn the other way. Follow the hand. Open first. Stretch. Bring it back down. Open first. Stretch. Bring it back down. Open first. Stretch. Bring it back down. One more time. Open first. Stretch. And then bring it back down. Now, we're going to start from front to back. So once again, back to the body. Stretch towards the ceiling. Stretch your spine. Lift up your shoulder. Open your shoulder. Lean back your upper torso. Relax the shoulder. Relax the spine. Focus on the center of your palm. Bring it up in front of you. On top of you. Now, open as far back as you can. Feel that pain on your shoulder. Let go of the pain. Focus, anchor your mind on the center of your palm. What's gone is gone. What's in the past is in the past. Let it go. Focus on the center of your palm. Open. Feel that pain. Let go of the pain. Come back to the center of your palm. All the way up. Feel the pain. Let go of the pain. Sit up straight. One last time. All the way back. Feel the pain. Let go of the pain. Sit up straight. Now come back to front. All the way up. Stretch. All the way down. All the way to the back. Stretch. All the way down. All the way to the back. Stretch. And then all the way down. One more time. All the way to the back. And then stretch. And then bring it back down. Mind, body together. Now we're going from the dynamic to the static. Mindfulness in motion. Now mindfulness when sitting. When we're in moving conditions, when we move, we focus our mind on our body. We can focus on the center of the palm, the bottom of the feet, the fingers, the shoulders, wherever. But when we sit, when we lie down, when we are standing, then we focus on the breath. Now, it's very important that you include your practice, your mindfulness practice all day. So I started this morning as soon as I woke up, right? I feel my body, I feel the blanket, half of it. I only get half of my blanket. The other half, my wife has it, right? So I'm very mindful, pull the blanket back without waking her up, right? The way I should be doing this. And then finally, I put down my feet and my mind is on the bottom of my feet. I search for my slippers. I walk out. As I walk out, I'm focusing on the bottom of my feet, one step at a time. And this goes on and on until I finish my breakfast. And it just continues until I go to sleep. And when I go to sleep, I lie down, I stretch, I focus on my stomach, one breath at a time. Okay? And that's how you do it. Now, we're going to learn to focus on the breath now by sitting. And before we do what I call anchoring, all we have to do is what I call knowing. Think of knowing as a stepping stone. I focus on my breath. I know that I'm breathing in. I can feel the in-breath. I can feel the change in my body. I know that I'm breathing out, one breath at a time. One breath at a time. Okay. Now, if you go to a traditional Chinese medicine doctor, I don't know anyone you have done that, or you go to acupuncturist, and very often they would ask you, sometimes more than once, is your mouth dry? Is your mouth dry? Now, it turns out that dry mouth is a indication of something very serious, because the only reason that you have dry mouth is because you are in the fight or flight mode. You're in the fight or flight mode. Imagine humanoids back in the days, after we learned how to use the thumb and then the rest of the fingers, we know how to use a branch as a weapon. This is both a defensive and offensive weapons. We learn to walk down the trees. We learn to walk upright. And then we learn to live inside the cave for our safety. And then only when we need it, we get outside the cave to hunt. And so when you're outside the cave under the sun, then you are in fight or flight. Your body reacts to that, right? Optimize it. The first thing it does is that, well, actually, right now, when you're being chased by the lion, you don't actually have to worry about your digestion. You don't actually have to worry about your immunity. And definitely, you don't have to worry about your reproduction. So the body is learned to turn all that off, optimize, and to get the adrenaline going, to get the cortisol going, get all the stress hormone going, and ignore all the other functions. And eventually you survived the hunt, you went back to the cave, you see your wife and your kids, and then you go into the rest and the digest, the parasympathetic. It turns the saliva gland back on, restore your immunity, restore your self-healing, restore your reproduction, restore your digestion, all of that. Now, modern people, we don't know how to restore our autonomous system. We develop what's called autonomous disorder, right? We have too much stress in us. And you say, no, that's not true. I take vacation twice a year. Well, taking vacation twice a year is like your house is on fire and you turn off the central heater. It doesn't, it's not going to hurt, but it's not going to help, right? You're not going to help. Your body is in fire and you're actually making it worse by going on vacation. So we need to learn how to turn on our parasympathetic nerve system, restore that. Okay. And so this is what I do. I check to make, I always make sure that I have plenty of saliva. So I make sure that I hydrate, but more importantly, I self hydrate. Okay. Now, even though when we were doing energetic exercise just now, doing the joints and all that, I keep asking you to anchor your mind onto your body, anchor it onto the center of your palm, enter it to any party. Mindfulness meditation, one of the things it does is that it cycles you between the energetic and the restorative. It restores that harmony between your autonomous system. Okay. All right. So let's not talk too much. Let's continue exercise. Now, mindfulness is a very important topic. That's what I'm going to focus on today's Dharma talk. And the message that I want to give is that mindfulness is not the end. Mindfulness is not the end. It's just one of the prerequisites for a spiritual practice here. Mindfulness is not the end. Mindfulness is important, right? Mindfulness is important. It's the very first step. And I'm going to be talking about what is important then. Well, Buddha taught various ways of meditating, of spiritual practice. And as I speak about last week, it's really about um, letting go of the intellect and promoting and returning back to the rest of the intelligence system. So, not using a brain, not judging, is actually the most important part of the spiritual practice. And mindfulness is just the beginning of that. And in the end, someone actually put all that technique together, and I'll be talking about that in the future days, which is called the 37 factors of enlightenment. The 37 factors of enlightenment consists of 7 puzzles, overlapping puzzles. So some of the factors actually appear more than once, and mindfulness is the one that appear in more than once. And it appears in what is called the four foundation of mindfulness: mindfulness of your being, your existence, mindfulness of your feeling, mindfulness of your non-thinking mind, and mindfulness of Dharma. And so let's practice what is called the mindfulness of feeling by continuing our joint exercise. So let's come back to our body, starting at the lower back. Continue our spine towards the top of the head. Stretch our spine. Focus on the shoulder. Lift up a shoulder. Open a shoulder. Lean back the upper torso. And then relax the entire body. Let's lift up our left hand. Stretch out our right hand. We do this one hand at a time, which means that we use one half the brain at a time. Right now, we're going to focus on the right hand, which means that we use our left brain. I want you to focus on the center of your palm. I want you to bring it around very mindfully without losing contact with the center of your palm. I want to bring it as far back as you can. I want you to feel that pain on your shoulder. Then I want you to accept that pain and then let go of the pain by maintaining mindfulness, by anchoring your mind now on the left hand. Now we're going to move the left hand, which means we use the right brain. Once again, make a circle, open that shoulder, feel the pain, accept that pain, let go of the pain. Sit up straight, bring it around, feel it, accept it, and letting it go. Letting it go means don't use your brain, don't use your intellect, don't judge, just let it go. Feel it, but don't judge it. Open it, feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Focus on the right side, continue, feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Now, remember what I said, I'm going to talk about this after we finish. Open, feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Right hand side, two more times. Feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Left hand side, feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Back to the breath, one breath at a time. I can feel my in breath. I know that I'm breathing in. I know that I'm breathing out. Now, this is the last Saturday class before the new freely elected president taking the office. I want you to keep that in mind. No matter how much it discusses you, discusses me, I have to accept that this is a democracy and the new president is not only elected by the states, but he is in fact popular, in fact elected. Whether you think that he's an evil person or not, it really doesn't matter. He is elected by more than 50% of our fellow citizens. You just have to accept that. Now, this is the beginning of a very doctrinal, there's going to be a lot of corrections, starting with Monday. The only person you can change is yourself. If you go back to the list that I put out about the 12 steps to remain positive, one of the steps is to accept the fact that the only person you can change is yourself. The only thing you can change is not the way you feel, but how you accept that feeling and not be entangled by that feeling. I'm not going to be watching the inauguration. I'm not going to be watching the reporting of the inauguration. I'm just going to meditate through the day. Monday, when it comes Monday, I'm going to think about Martin Luther King instead. But whatever it is that I feel, whether it is disgust, is anger, is despair, I'm just going to feel it. And then I'm going to accept it. And then I'm going to let it go. This is the only way that you can protect yourself. This is the only way that you can eventually make a positive change. Is not to destroy yourself, not to be burned by the same fire. Okay, that's all I need to say today. I'm much more focused on the practice now, as you can tell. Okay, all right, so let's continue. So that was basically what's called the mindfulness of the feeling of the body, using that as a surrogate to ultimately understand the mindfulness of your mind, right? Whatever it is that you feel, it doesn't need to be politics. It could be your neighbor saying something bad to you, right? I walk out to the street to chat with my neighbor, and obviously they park their cars, they put their belonging. I have a, this is a long story, I won't get into that, but in any case, the parents next to in the house next to us were there when my parents moved in, and the last remaining daughter of the family is actually the same age as mine. We grew up together, but they all turned into drug addict, and the parents had passed away, and so the banks are trying to put the house. So right now it's a big mess. You open the door, you see this big pile of junk, big pile of garbage on the outside. What are you going to do? Now, if it poses physical danger, I can call the cop, but it's not. So you feel it, you accept it, and then you let it go. And then when you see someone, you continue to treat them with compassion and loving kindness, and more importantly, respect. Right? That's all I can do. The only person I can change is myself. All right. So now we're gonna continue, and now we're gonna prepare for the second part of our practice today, which is the mindfulness of our breath, which is the mindfulness of our existence. Our existence is in our breath. All right. So let's do two more exercises to get ourselves ready. We need to be totally relaxed, not just relax in the body, but relax in the mind, in order to do a good job in meditating on our breath. All right. So let's do two more exercise, one energetic and one restorative. Let's do this one next exercise by stretching a spine, lifting up a shoulder, opening a shoulder, lean back, and then relax. Let's bring out a right hand, focus on the center palm, make a fist, get ready. Up, come back, focus on our body, focus on the left arm, hand, up, come back, down, feel the vibration, down, up, up, down, down. One more time, up, up, down, down. Sit up straight, two hands, one, back, two, back, three, back, four, back, and then five. All right. Back to the breathing. Now, when you finish energetic exercise and you want to create that balance, you should spend equal time on meditating. And when you sit down, let your body rest. The first thing you want to do is check your breath, see if you're huffing and puffing. And when you're huffing and puffing means that your mind is energetic, right? And when your mind is energetic, that means that you're in fight or flight. And you want to come back, focus on your breathing. And when you see that your breath is very rushed, then you say, I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. And you would actually notice that your mouth is getting wet again because you're turning on your salivary gland again. A real indication that you have returned yourself in the rest and digest. Okay, that's the key. All right. So whatever it is that you do in the rest of the day after today on Monday, whatever, and you feel that you're under stress, just sit in the corner somewhere and just say, I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. And just quietly put the tip of the tongue behind here, between the teeth and the roof of your mouth, and just focus on your inside mouth. Now, the Chinese, the Taoists, they have a name for that, and they call it the jade, right? Like the jewelry, jade nettor, right? So they actually call the sliver jade nettor. So when you're quiet, focusing on your breath, the saliva comes out and let it swallow into your stomach. And that you don't actually have to do that. If you put the tip of the tongue behind here, then the saliva would naturally fall into your stomach down to your abdomen. All right. Okay. So that's a quick way of relax. Now we're going to do one more exercise, which is relaxation. But it's actually not just relaxation like you take a vacation. It's relaxation by turning on your parasympathetic nerve, particularly the vagus nerve, which starts at the upper part of your neck, goes all the way down through the shoulder, to the back, to the lower back, and then it goes into all your all your internal organs. So we're going to need to do exercise by moving a neck, a shoulder, a back, as well as our inside the stomach by coordinated with the breathing by using the diaphragm. So it's a very simple exercise, very relaxed. You just have to really focus, really get into it. And get into it meaning that really focus on the sensation of your body. Now I want you to again lift up, stretch towards the ceiling, lift up your shoulder, open your shoulder, lean back, relax. Now I want you to take the thumbs, put it in front of your shoulder, roll up your four fingers gently. Divide this exercise into 4 steps. The first step, focus on your elbow, lift up your elbow, the rest of the body listening. So your shoulders is also up together, your elbow, as if you're bringing your shoulder to your ears. Then you point your elbow back, opening the shoulder, opening so much that you're squeezing a tennis ball in the back. Then the third part is when you lower your elbow, telling the rest of your body to relax. You continue to relax. Now you point your elbow forward. You're looking down, bending your neck, bending your back. And from here, we lift up our body, listening to, following our elbow, looking straight ahead. We continue to bring the elbow back. Now we're looking at the ceiling a little bit, 45-degree, all the way back. Now we bring down the elbow, looking straight ahead, continue until the elbow is pointing forward. We're looking at the floor. We're going to coordinate that with our breath. As we bring up, we breathe in, close your mouth. We continue to breathe until we are opening the shoulder. And then as we come down, we breathe out all the way until we're totally hunched. Let's start. Breathe in. And very importantly, when you breathe out, you ask yourself to relax. Learn to relax whenever you exhale. Breathe in. Breathe out. Exhale. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. One more time. Breathe in. Breathe out. Relax. Completely relax, focusing on the breath. Now, it turns out that our body has a natural way of restoring the harmony between the autonomous system. It turns out that when you breathe in, especially when you use the diaphragm, it actually puts the body into fight or flight. And then when you breathe out, you're pushing up the diaphragm. It actually puts your body in the rest and digest. Now there's a measure now. The Apple Watch actually does that now, called HRV, heart rate variability. It actually measures your heart rate and coordinate it with your breath. So it measures your heart rate when you breathe in, and it measures your heart rate when you breathe out. The difference is a fraction of a second, but it's enough for the instrument to pick it up. And there's been a big study. They put a couple hundred people on one side, a couple hundred people on the other side. One side only relaxed by listening to music, and the other side actually practiced abdominal breathing. And it turns out that the HRV is very different. The one that practiced the abdominal breathing has a measurable HRV, and whereas the other side doesn't. When there's no change, when no significant difference between the two, it means that you have problem, right? You're not able to go back and forth like that. And they actually the purpose of the study is about dementia, and they actually have measurable result on how it reduces your chance of having dementia by coordinating it with a very important marker. All right, so we're going to meditate now. Okay, we're going to meditate now. There's a lot of reason to meditate, and it is just the beginning of a spiritual practice. But for many people, this could be their destiny. This is all they want to do is to relax, have some health benefit, and that's fine too. Now, when we meditate on the breath, right? And the posture is very important. So I'm going to teach you a little bit more detail about our posture, not the way it's done in India. The yogis are very similar, but there's a little bit difference and so on. And then now the Buddhists, actually those who are in Thailand and Myanmar and so forth, they don't actually pay that much attention to the posture. They focus more on the mind. Whereas the Chinese, they always start with the body, the chi, and the mind. So those of you who sit on a yoga mat, make sure that if you have to, put some pillows and blankets so you're not using any muscle. For those of you who sit on the chair, just make sure that your feet are not dangling and it's just the right height that the bottom of your feet is touching the ground. And the next thing I want you to do is relax your hands, right? Don't lift it up, right? Just relax your hand. Relax your fingers, relax your wrist, relax your elbow, relax your shoulder. Just relax. Then I want you to focus on the lower part of your back. And then I want you to walk up your spine towards the ceiling as if you're stretching your spine, as if you're hanging the spine on the ceiling. You stretch it as hard as you can. Now, this is the part that doesn't exist in the yoga practice, which is you lean forward first, okay? And then you lean back. But as you lean back, you focus on your lower back, left and right, and your hip doesn't move. So the hip is forward and the upper torso is back. You feel the stress on your lower back, left and right, where the kidneys are. You keep moving back until you're almost falling off, not quite, and then you relax. But keeping the pressure on your lower back by shifting the hip forward and upper torso back. Then you lift up your shoulder, the rest of the same. You lift up the shoulder, you open the shoulder, you relax. You lean back the forehead so the ears on top of your shoulder. Then you tuck in your chin so the top of the head is on top of your central nerve system. You focus on your eyelid. You think of your eyelid as the window shade. You lower the drape, but you don't shut it. You don't put stress on your eyelid. And then you can actually see some light coming through, and that's perfect. Then you take the tip of the tongue, you put it behind here between your bottom of your nose and upper part of your lip. Is right behind here, which is where the teeth meets the roof of your mouth. You relax. You start to feel the inside of your mouth. You feel the wetness. Now, this last part has three purposes. One is that it puts you in the rest and digest, so that you're reactivating the saliva gland. And also make sure that any saliva that you generate while you're sitting flows into your stomach and not into your lungs so you don't choke on it. And finally, it creates a conductive path between your spine, which is what we call the governing vessel, and then what starts here all the way to the bottom is another vessel. Now we're going to focus on a breath, starting with knowing. I know that I'm breathing in. I know that I'm breathing out. That is just a stepping stone. So now we're going to focus our mind on a belly button. I call this anchoring. It's as if you're anchoring your small boat in a big storm. Okay? Not to be engulfed by what's happening outside, the chaos that is happening outside. Just kind of like that kind of analogy. Not don't let your mind drift away. Don't listen to outside. Just focus on your belly button. Now, when you know that you're breathing in, I want you to move that belly button forward. When you know that you're breathing out, I want you to move that belly button back. Now, you don't actually have to move because many of you are not used to this. So just use your mind. Just use your mind and say, move forward, move back. And miraculously, your stomach actually listens to you and it moves on its own. So when you breathe in, move forward. When you breathe out, move backward. Now, this exercise by itself already generate a lot of health benefit because it actually cycles you between the energetic and the restorative, cycle you between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. And if you have any kind of measurement, it actually improves your heart rate variability and therefore your immune system, reducing inflammation in your body, which is what's causing dementia in the beginning in the first place. All right, so let's sit like that for 3 minutes. This is just a preparation. I call this mindful of your body to activate your chi. Okay, so now we're going to continue, and this is just a preparation. And the Chinese believe that by doing abdominal breathing, moving the stomach in and out, which basically means that moving your diaphragm, you first have the most notable benefit, which is that when you breathe in, you open your stomach, you lower the diaphragm, increasing the lung capacity, getting more oxygen into your body. And then when you breathe out, you collapse your stomach, pushing up the diaphragm and removing any of the stale air in the bottom of your lung. So that obviously is very beneficial to your health, but it's more than that. And as I mentioned before, it cycles you in and out of the two autonomous system, creating a harmony, restoring the self-healing of your body. But it does something else. It creates some static electrons in your small intestines because you're massaging it with your diaphragm. So now the next step is taking those electrons and cycle it through your body by bringing up the spine and then bring it back. Some of you might say, "Well, how is that possible? The doctor, Western doctor, hasn't discovered that. Are you transmitting through the middle of your spine?" Actually, no. The Chinese believe that there is a greater communication system within us that is not so easily visualized, especially by the Western doctor with their way of dissecting the body and examining the individual organs. They believe that there is a separate channel for communications. And nowadays, as people um, start to study that, they believe that it is the membrane, right? And sometimes people call fascia. And fascia is very limited way of understanding these membranes because fascia comes from the word myofascia, which is all about the muscle. Here they're talking about not just the muscle, but everything within the body has a membrane. In fact, when you think about it, that's the very first organ that we have. Not the heart, not the lung, right? Not any of that. It's the membrane, right? When you were conceived, it was between the egg and the sperms. How does the egg knows which one to pick? It's through the membrane. And then when they merge, become one, how does it grow? It's through the membrane. So the connective tissue, the membrane in all our internal constructions is actually a communication channel. So let's not try to understand it. Time will come for the Western science to merge, to come to the Eastern science. We just need to experience it. So let's sit up straight. Once again, check our posture, lift up our spine towards the ceiling, open our shoulder, relax. And then now let's focus on our lower back. Continue to monitor our breath. Know that you're breathing in. You notice that when you breathe in now, the stomach opens slightly on its own. You don't even have to you don't have to force it. And you notice that when you breathe out, the stomach collapses a little bit on its own. This is like the art the smith iron smith. You know they have this furnace with the bellow. Well, your stomach is like the bellow. This is actually where the breathing starts, right? The lung doesn't know how to breathe. The lung has no muscle. It's always through the membrane. And then you have the chimney, which is your nostril. Okay, so we often think of a breathing through a nose. We actually don't. We breathe our stomach. We breathe with our bellow. The chimney actually just senses the breath. Now, continue with that sensation. Focus on that sensation. As you breathe in, I want you to move from the lower part of your spine along your spine towards the top of the head. Stretch your spine towards the ceiling. When you get to the top of your head, as you breathe out, I want you to come down from the front through your forehead, through the bridge of your nose, through the tongue, and come down all the way to the belly button. And when you do that, I want you to relax. Not just to relax, but I want you to take all your anxiety, all your trouble, and let it settle. As if you're letting it settle all the way to your stomach. all the way, maybe even return it to the soil. Now, that sentimentation of taking your akusala thoughts, the non virtuous thoughts, is in fact the meaning of Zen. Zen comes from Chan. Chan comes from jhana, which is the word for sentimentation. All right. So that you can truly be in the rest and digest as you breathe out. Always relax when you breathe out. When you breathe in, stretch your spine towards the ceiling. Feel the life energy within you. And then when you breathe out, let all your trouble settle down. When you breathe in, stretch. When you breathe out, relax and settle down. Okay, let's sit for 3 minutes. Okay, open your eyes. So feel the inside of your mouth. Huh? Feel the inside of your mouth. See if you can feel the saliva inside your mouth. And if you can, that means you did something right. You actually turn your rest and digest back on, restoring that harmony. Now, I mentioned very briefly, and I'm going to mention again in the Dhamma talk, and then definitely get into that deeply next week, which is about the foundation, right? In the writing in the description of today's class, I talk about foundation, talk about San Francisco, and we had a big fire in 1906, just like what they have in Pacific Palisades, burned down the entire city after a big earthquake. And there's still a few building left standing, and they're very noticeable because of the Victorian architecture, but also for the fact that they have no concrete foundation because concrete wasn't invented yet. And concrete, as you know, is a composite of three things, right? It's the cement, it's the sand, it's the pebble. And so the foundation for a meditation is also the three things. It is the mindfulness, it is the diligence, and it is the faith. Now you might think, oh, faith, you mean like faith to God? Yes, faith that there exists some kind of positive energy, and they're actually within us, right? So all this trouble out there, and just that's people's choice. I choose not to follow, and I choose to be true to myself. But it's more than just faith. It's more than just faith to outside. It's more also faith to the inside. So another word for that is confidence. Confidence is very important. So the fact that you can feel some change in your body, just a little bit things like, oh, there's actually saliva now. I'm self-hydrating. That promotes confidence. That's faith too. All right. So important. All right. So we're going to start our pranayama soon. But before we do that, let's do a little bit more energetic exercise, get a circulation going. And so do some stretching now. All right. Do some stretching. So let's come back to our posture, stretch the spine, lift up our shoulder, open that shoulder, lean back and relax. Let's take our hands, lock the 10 fingers, put that on the belly button. Let's focus on the center of your palm as we breathe in. Turn our hands, follow the hand, breathe out. Now look straight ahead, lock that elbow, unlock the fingers, point the center of your palm outward, and use your shoulder as if you're climbing on top of the mountain. And then back, relax, lock the fingers again, breathe in, breathe out. Looking straight ahead, climb the mountain using your shoulder. Come back one last time. Breathe in. Breathe out. Looking straight ahead, climb the mountain. Okay, now we're not just stretching muscle and tendon, we're actually stretching the meridians. So what we just did now is stretching what is called the triple warmer meridian. All right, back to locking the fingers again. Sit up straight, palm facing up, palm facing down. Push down your hand, lock your elbow, looking straight ahead. Bring up your hand, center your palm facing the camera. Keep going. Center the palm facing the sky, and then bring it back slightly so you're forming a straight line between the bottom of your spine, the top of your head, and the center of your palm. And you push. Now you're stretching the governing vessel as well as the meridian named after the bladder. And then now we're going to lean back, come back in the middle, push again, lean to the left, stretching the right side, which is the meridian named after the stomach. Push again, stretch to the right side, come back, push again, left, come back to the middle, push again, right, come back to the middle. Now focus on the center of your palm, bring it down. This is a meditation, okay? Meditation in motion. Now stretch your spine again, lift up your shoulder, open the shoulder, and then relax. Now taking your right hand, touch your left shoulder, lean back your head. So you're pushing pressure on the right shoulder. You take your left hand, grab the elbow, sit up straight, and then stretch to the left. Come back the other side. Okay, now make sure that you're leaning back your forehead, putting pressure on your left shoulder. Grab the left elbow and stretch. Come back. Focus on your breath. Check to see if you're huffing or puffing. And just say to yourself, I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Right? When your breath is rushed, that means that your mind is agitated. That means that you're not restoring yourself. All right. So always do that. Now sit up straight again. Open that shoulder. Relax. Oh, sorry. Left hand, and then the right hand grabbing the fingers and the palm. Sit up straight. Bring that hand down. Focus on your elbow. Push your left elbow out. looking straight ahead. Push your arm up with your elbow. So center your palm pointing the camera, lift it all the way up to your eyebrow level. Sit up straight, okay? Don't turn your body. Just take your left hand and bring it to the right. Come back, relax. Sit up straight, right hand, left hand, bring it down, elbow out, looking straight ahead, bring it back up. Without turning the body, sit up straight. And if you can, push the hip forward and lean back up the torso as you put a little pressure on the adrenal. And then you take your right hand and you bring it to the left. You come back and then you relax. Back to the breathing. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing. It is very important that you restore, okay? After you do energetic exercise, you restore. And then now lift up your shoulder again, open that shoulder, lean back, relax. Left hand facing up, right up, so right hand facing up, left hand facing down. Open the shoulder, open the shoulder, open the shoulder, and then right palm up. And then as if you're supporting the sky, left hand down, as if you're pushing the earth down. Now lean back your right arm, turn the head to the left, stop at the shoulder. Keep turning your eyes as if you're looking at your back. Bring back your eyes, bring back, and then relax. The other side, open the shoulder, push, and then right hand, push, okay? And then left hand back, head to the right, eyes to the back, eyes come back, head come back, and then relax, okay? All right? Mini says all about the breathing. Yes, all about the breathing, but keep in mind that that is just one branch of the 8 limbs of yoga. There are other 7 branches, right? There's also the body, the asana. There's also the mind. And then there's also the other 4. Okay, now stretch your spine, open the shoulder, relax. Lock your fingers, put that at your lower back, palm facing up. Turn it, palm facing down. Push until you lock your elbow. Okay, now focus on the top of your head and the center of your palm together. And then push down your hand, lift up your head, one up, one down, stretch your spine. And then relax. Lean back your forehead so you're looking at the ceiling, 45 degrees. Focus on the center of your palm, bring it up, all the way up. And then relax. Back to the breathing, one breath at a time. One breath at a time. So we're actually doing yoga practice. Right now we're doing asana, the body. Okay, now lift up your shoulder again, open the shoulder, relax. Right hand touching your back, eyes looking forward, and then focus on your right shoulder. Lift up your right shoulder. And then relax, changing hand. Sit up straight, lift up your left shoulder. And then relax back to the breathing, one breath at a time. Open the shoulder again, lean back, relax. Back of the right hand at the lower back, 2 fingers pointing the left shoulder. Bring down your right shoulder, fingers up. And then relax, changing hand, pointing to the right shoulder, left shoulder down, fingers up. Now bring the other hand, fingers touching. Sit up straight so you're looking straight ahead. Right shoulder up, left shoulder down, and then relax. The other hand. Sit up straight, looking straight ahead, left shoulder up, right shoulder down, and then relax. Back to the breathing. One breath at a time. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. One last exercise. Stretch your spine, open the shoulder, relax the shoulder. Put your palms together, fingers pointing down. Sit up straight. Turn your hands so fingers are pointing up. Bring up your hand, center the palm touching, and then push your hand forward, and then bring your shoulder back. One forward, one backward. Maintain that pressure. Relax, focus on your breath, one breath at a time. Okay, all right. So about the breath, about the breathing, and um, the only thing that we do here that is perhaps different from other people is that um, we don't ask you to exercise and breathe at the same time, not at the same time. And the reason is that this is a spiritual training after all, and mindfulness means that you can only do one thing at a time. So you either pay attention to your breath or you pay attention to your body, not both. Both is too difficult and not true to the spiritual practice. So we ask you to focus on your body when you exercise and focus on the breath when you're sitting still, standing, or lying down. That's the only difference, right? Okay, but the body, the breath, the mind, those are the three out of the eight limbs of yoga that are important. All right. Now, by the way, I mentioned this before. The yoga that we practice in the West, particularly in the United States, is a very special form of yoga. It's called Hatha yoga, and it's very new. It's just a couple hundred years, well, maybe more than a couple, less than 600 years old. And it's with the belief that the essence of our existence rests in the brain, is the fluid in the brain. So you notice that a lot of the postures, a lot of the postures that are practiced are upside down postures, upside down postures. They actually believe that any fluid that leaks out from your body depletes your your essence, right? And that practice, you should look it up. What hatha yoga is, and it requires a lot of cleansing. They actually swallow cotton balls to cleanse the internals, and they do all kinds of things. And it's very, very amazing practice, and it's only practiced by men, which is ironic. Okay, so let's continue with a floor exercise. Let's continue first with a joint exercise and starting with the knee. So let's put our hands on the knee, completely mindful of our body as we turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now to the heel, right heel first. 1, mindful of the heel. 2, 3, 4, and 5. The other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now left foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now to the toes. Now I want you to focus on the top of the head. Look straight ahead and just lift up your heel. Stay focused on the top of your head and then come down and impact the heel slightly. Second time, down. One last time, down. Now, if any one of you have lower back problem, this exercise you want to do. So the Chinese believe that the lower back is the chamber of your kidney energy. And so the kidney energy actually starts at the bottom of your feet and it's augmented by the bladder energy line. So when you lift up like this and impact like this, it restores your kidney energy and heal your lower back. Okay, all right. Now we're going to stand on one foot. This is actually good to prevent dementia. Dementia starts with the loss of balance. So you stand on one foot, look straight ahead, focus on the top of your head, and you kick the right foot. Okay, now get ready. 1, come back to the top of the head. 2, come back to the top of the head, looking straight ahead. 3, now the other side. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, all right. So now we're going to start the exercise, the breathing exercise, what we call the pranayama. Okay, and so we stand, fine. Now remember, now this is 3 in 1. It's breathing exercise. Learn to use the diaphragm, and then it's also circulating oxygens into your various vital organs. And finally, it's a meditation. So focus on the center of your palm. Remember what I said now. When you move, you focus, you anchor your mind on your body. Let's learn to anchor it on the center of your palm. You bring it back down and you stand up. Okay, now 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 and 2 is breathe in. 3 is breathe out using your nostril. Okay, and then relax, breathe in, breathe out. You don't have to think about anything. The exercise is designed to use your diaphragm. Breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Now, changing hand, breathe in, breathe out. Follow the hand, breathe in, breathe out. Continue, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Okay, now we're going to go from exercise to standing meditation. Standing meditation, we focus on the breath, one breath at a time. Just like when we do the joint exercise, there's a beginning and the end. And at the beginning, you commit yourself to the whole cycle of breath, in and out. And when you finish, you recommit one breath at a time. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. One breath at a time. Totally relaxed, totally focused. Okay, all right, so now we do the second form, which is called balloon breathing. We lean back, we lift up our toes, we look at the ceiling, 45-degree. We bring up our hands, we focus on the center of your palm, we roll our body forward. We embrace yourself, looking at the ceiling now. Left foot, the heel is up. Bring it back. Right foot, the toe is up, looking at the ceiling. As we roll forward, we breathe in, embrace yourself. As we roll back, we breathe out, relax. Breathe in, breathe out. In, out. Very relaxed, right? In, out. One breath at a time. Every one, we start from 0. Breathe in, let go of all the past. Breathe out. In, out. One more time. Breathe in, breathe out. Focus on the center of your palm. Come down with your mind. Focus on the center of your bottom of your foot. And then stand up, stand properly. And 1 minute, focus on a breath, one breath at a time. As if you're putting coins in the piggy bank, one coin at a time. And after you put one coin, you let go of the point. You let go of the breath. And then we start from 0. One coin at a time, one breath at a time. And if you ever feed a baby, one spoon at a time. Whatever it is that you want to use is okay. Totally relax on the out breath. And if you ever want to use the breathing exercise as a relaxation technique, you focus on the out breath. You try to make the out breath a little longer by exhausting all your stale air inside your lung. At the same time, relax and let all your troubles settle. And then let the body breathe in on its own. So put all your emphasis on the out breath. Make sure that you relax when you do that, okay? That's how you relax. Okay, ready? Breathe in, breathe out. In, out. In, out. In, out. Try to keep your back straight so you're not hunching. And when you hunch, you actually decrease the capacity of your lung. Breathe in, breathe out. One more time. In, out. Lower your hand. Back to the standing position. Back to the breathing. 1 minute. Try to stay focused on your breath for the entire minute by doing it one breath at a time. Commit, recommit, commit, recommit. One breath at a time. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Start from zero. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Okay, now to the butterfly. Get ready. Follow your hand, bring it up. Follow your hand, bring it down, lower your knee. Bring it back up, raise your heel, stand on your toes, follow the hand until the back of the hand is touching on top of your hip. As you come down, you breathe in. As you go up, you breathe out. Focus on the center of your palm. In, out. One breath at a time. In, out. Totally relax as you breathe out. In, out. In, out. In, out. One last time. In, out. All right. Back to the breathing. So remember I said we either focus on the body or we focus on the breath. Now, when we focus on the breath, I just remember that when you exhale, it's also called exhaust, right? The car has the exhaust pipe. So think about your body as the exhaust. So will you ever connect your exhaust pipe to your carburetor? For those of you old enough to remember carburetor, no, you won't. You want fresh air every time. That's the same way. You breathe in, you feel that you're breathing in, and you feel that you're breathing out. And when you breathe out, think about the exhaust. I just wanted to let go of all my entanglement, all of my trouble. And you start from fresh again. Breathe in as if you're getting a new lease in life. And then you breathe out. Let the past be the past, okay? 1 minute. Relax on your out breath. Always relax on your out breath. Let it all go. Let it all settle. As if you're taking all your trouble from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. Return it back to earth where it belongs. Okay, so when you do that, you actually feel the heaviness of your breath as you exhaust, as if you're letting go all your trouble. And then when you breathe in again, you feel the lightness as if the energy is coming back, the life is coming back in you. Okay? All right. So now the next one is called push hand. This one you really have to let go of your thinking, let go of your intellect, let go of your judging, and just feel it. This is like what I talked about last class. Let the intelligence come out by restraining your intellect. Okay, now it's very simple. You imagine you have a water wheel in front, you bring the hands above the water wheel, you bring it all the way down as you lower your body, and then you look straight ahead at the center of the water wheel and you push. As you bring your hands up and down, you breathe in, you breathe all the way down here, and then you breathe out. Now, it helps that when you breathe in, you open your shoulder. And it helps that when you push from your lower back. Breathe in, breathe out. You feel the energy in you when you do this. But keep in mind that you don't judge. You don't judge yourself. You don't judge anybody else. You just feel it. You're one with your body, one with your breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. In and out. Back to the standing. 1 minute. Okay, continue on the left side. So many of you heard me mention the movie Original Karate Kid, where Mr. Miyagi teaches the boy how to um, uh, learn martial art, and he's assigned him to washing the car, waxing the car. It's actually a very deep philosophical exercise by focusing on your intelligence and not on your intellect, not thinking. So they said, okay, so that's why the movie says wax on, wax off. Right? It's a simple way of saying just feel it, but don't judge it. Feel the body, feel the air running through your fingers, feel the air going into your lung, into your abdomen, and feeling it coming back out. In, out. One last time. Breathe in, breathe out. Come back. This is the last 1 minute sitting meditation. Let's do the best we can. Break it down into one breath at a time. There's a beginning and an end. Breathing in, breathing out. Okay, so I read an article some time ago about a medical doctor talking about longevity. And first of all, he says, I don't care about longevity. I care about health span and not lifespan. It's not life when you spend the last 20 years of your life looking at the ceiling. And so he says, there's one simple exercise, one simple test that I do to my patients. And from the result of that test, I would know the health span of that person. And that is just asking the patient to sit on the edge of the examining table and just stand up. And if the person experienced some lightheadedness, he says, well, he's on his way down from there. And if the person said, I'm okay, then he's going to live for a long time healthily. And the reason is very simple. It's called adrenal fatigue. The person is under so much stress all his life and never know how to restore his own self-healing power that the adrenal gland has lost its basic function, which is to adjust for the change of gravity. So this next exercise restore that functionality of the adrenal gland. Okay. Now, but on the other hand, if you have a history of getting lightheadedness, skip this one, or do it. Actually, I encourage you to do it, but do it with the chair next to you. Okay. Now get ready. Breathe in, and then breathe out. Open your knee all the way down. Breathe out, and then bend your back. And then now breathe in again, all the way up, and then bend your back. Okay, all right, get ready. Second time, breathe out, breathe in, and then relax. One last time, breathe out, breathe in, and then relax. Back to the sitting, all right? We're going to sit for 5 minutes, and then we'll be end the class. Those of you who have time or who are interested in staying for the Dharma talk, you can. If you're interested in the Dharma talk but you don't have time, catch up on YouTube. Okay? All right. Back to the sitting position. We don't know how to do that now, right? And then stretch your spine, open the shoulder, lean back, and relax. Okay? So, Antonia, if you understand what a carburetor is, next time I'll talk about spark plugs. All right. Okay, so now we're going to focus on the breath. Okay, so we do a lot of preparation with the pranayama exercise. You can really feel that when you breathe in, your stomach moves, right? Now I want you to think about your mind. I want you to think about anchoring your mind on the lower back. But I want you to think about like you're the dragon walking up the spine. And if you do this exercise diligently, as you cycle the chi up your spine and down, you actually feel you actually feel some energy rising on its own. Okay, and if you cannot, it's okay too. I'm not saying that you have to, but actually it's easy. Well, almost everyone has it, but it needs a lot of work. It needs a lot of practice. But when you do feel it, then that's the pearl. You're the dragon. You're following the pearl as it goes up, and you're following as it comes down. And this is called a wandering dragon chasing the pearl. So the dragon needs to be free. So the key is that as you rise to the top of your head, you don't stop at the top of your head. You let go. As if there's a cloud on top of your head, as if the dragon is entering into the cloud, its ancestral home. And then when you breathe out, you come back down. You relax until it enters into your lower abdomen. And then when you breathe in again, you move up. You don't stop at the top of your head, you let it go. And then as you breathe out, you come back into your stomach. Now, this is another way of really letting go of your intellect, letting go of your thinking mind. That's all it is. But it uses the visual of the dragon rising in your spine, entering into the cloud. That's all it does. But what it really does is that it let go of your intellect, let go of your thinking mind, and just feel it. And then you're coming back down. Okay? All right, that's all. Let's sit for 5 minutes. Okay. All right. Class is over. Let's do a little bit of quick massage. Put your hands together. Massage the face. Massage the forehead, the top of the head, the back of the head, the lower part of the head, the neck, and then the top of the ears back to the face and to the fingers. All right. Now I ask that you meditate at least 15 minutes a day. As I said, I meditate basically 24 hours a day. I don't know if I meditate when I sleep, but I'm pretty sure there's that possibility. But at least you meditate 15 minutes a day, because 15 minutes is just 1% of 24 hours. 24 hours means 1440 minutes. But I don't ask you to sit for 15 minutes. I ask you to meditate for 15 minutes. In fact, if you sit, that all your meditation consists of sitting, depending on the time of the day, you might not be ready. When you wake up, your head is not clear enough to actually meditate. You're just sleeping. It's like the snooze button on your alarm. So I ask that you either stand for 5 minutes, sit for 10 minutes, or you walk for 5 minutes and you sit for 10 minutes. Combine it so you get your energy into your meditation, right? Okay. Oh, so those of you who don't have time, who are not interested, this is the end of class, okay? And I hope to see you next week. For those of you who are interested but don't have time, watch it on YouTube. Um, But today I'm going to talk about mindfulness. And why is mindfulness so important a topic? Because we overuse it in the West. I remember back in the days, 1971, I was 15 years old. I came to the United States in June. For some reason or another, I can go into that as a long story. I came a month after my parents and my two younger brothers. So they were kind of already settled down. And my father was already working for my aunt and uncle, who owns a Chinese restaurant in San Diego, for those of you who know San Diego, Castro Valley. And so it was in the beginning of June, not quite school time yet. My dad, his normal self would never want his number one son to just wander around the street. So he asked my aunt and uncle to get me into summer school in San Diego. Now, back then, San Diego is a really white neighborhood. But on the other hand, I grew up in my father's barbershop reading comic book. And I remember my favorite comic book was Archie. And so when I go to San Diego, it's like being in Archie's. You have the baseball field, you have the kids with the freckles. It's just like in Archie. It's amazing. But I was really curious about what Chinese food is my uncle and aunt serving, because when I look at the menu, they have egg fouillon and sweet and sour pork and fried prawns with sweet and sour sauce, and they have chow mein and monggu gai pan. I said, I want to see what that is. I never seen it before. And so when they serve it to the customer, I take a look and I said, wow, that's Chinese food. That is not Chinese food. I never seen that before. But that is typical of the Western way, is that in any of our learning, we tend to truncate it as soon as we see benefit. As soon as we see a way of making money, we truncate it. So the journey becomes the destination. The seagull becomes the attraction. That's unfortunate. And this is true with meditation. And so we have so many different kinds of meditation. We have mindfulness meditation, we have Zen meditation, we have Chan meditation, which is the original version of Zen in China. It's only after they came to Japan they became Zen. We have Vipassana meditation, we have insight meditation, which is another name for Vipassana. We have transcendental meditation. Every one of them is a silo. It's an end to the self, which is very unfortunate. It's like looking at the elephant with the periscope. You don't even get to smell the elephant, but you look at it, and when you see the leg, you say, oh, that's a tree trunk elephant. When you see the tail, you say, oh, that's a rope elephant. When you see the tooth, you say, that's a saber elephant. Whereas in fact, they all make up the whole. So you cannot really have meditation as a spiritual practice without mindfulness. You can't have it without Zen. Zen means Chana. Chana means sentimentation. That's when you say, I feel it, I accept it, and I let it go. I let it settle. You cannot have a spiritual practice without vipassana. Vipassana is, in fact, the original contribution of, uh, of, um, of Buddha. Vipassana just means seeing, feeling without judging. That is the ultimate in the practice, but it requires mindfulness and Zen as a foundation. Okay. On the other hand, there's a lot of benefit in taking the journey as the destination, right? So there's been a lot of documented health benefit to just mindful meditations. People talk about how they reduce stress and anxiety, improve focus and concentration, better emotional control, and increase self-awareness, enhance sleep, enable pain management, lower your blood pressure, boost your immunity. All that is true. All that is true, but that is a benefit of pursuing a spiritual practice. It's the seagull that you met in the journey. It's not the journey and the destination itself. So in the future, I'll be talking about a syllabus that I put together for our spiritual training. And I don't want to do it now because I don't want to distract you from the intelligence by thinking that understanding is the practice. It's the experience that is the practice. So I want to focus more on the technique, focus on guiding you step by step into the journey and not giving you all that information. But there is a syllabus, and part of the syllabus contains something called the 7 sets of 37 factors of enlightenment. And this is really taking all Buddha has taught and thinking of it as 7 pieces of a puzzle, but the 7 pieces actually overlaps. So the 37 factors that are in these 7 pieces actually repeat itself. And one of that repeats is mindfulness. And mindfulness, as I said, is mentioned in one of those pieces of puzzle called the 4 foundations of mindfulness, but it's also in another piece, which is very important for our discussion today, something called Indriya, Indriya. Now, that word is interesting. That word means literally belonging or agreeable or communicable with Indra. Indra is a deity, is a god. It's like the governor of our realm. In the Chinese mythology, it's called the Jade Emperor. It's like the CEO. So it says that these are the faculties that we can communicate with our governor, with our CEO. And there are 2 ways to think about this set of faculties. One is the physical faculties, and one is the spiritual faculties. The physical faculties are something that I mentioned already. And in Chinese, they are called the sense doors. Now, this is going to be important when we talk about Vipassana, when we talk about samatha and all that, which is how you deal with your sense doors. So these 6 physical faculties are the eyes, the nose, the tongue, the ear, the body, and the thinking mind. Okay? It's important to understand that none of them exist after you die. On the other hand, more important to our discussion today is the other interpretation of the word Indriya, which are the spiritual faculties. So there are 5 spiritual faculties, and 3 of them are already mentioned: faith, which include confidence, perseverance, or what I call persistence, and then finally is mindfulness. Those 3 forms the foundation, like the concrete, they're the composite. One reinforces another. I'll talk about that next week. And then following that is something called samadhi, and then finally something called Prajñā. So when I talk about the Shambhala warriors, I talk about the weapons, and one is wisdom, which is really Prajñā. And that's really when you let go of your internal entanglement and let the inner wisdom reveal itself. And the other one is the compassion, right? Now, so come back to what mindfulness is. And I wanted to make it simple because it's very important to make it simple and very important not to um, um, complicate it. Because if you complicate it and make it into something else, you're starting to use your intellect. You start to judge. You start to think of your spiritual practice as a knowledge and not as experience. It's important to fall back and say, it is just very simple. Mindfulness just means anchoring. That's all it means. If you know how to anchor your mind, whether you're standing, whether you're sitting, whether you're lying down, or when you're moving, you're exercising, that's enough, right? That's all we need. Because if you understand that as just one of the stepping stones, then you will open the idea that there are more to come. But if you're trying to overcomplicate it and make it into something else that becomes your destination, then you're truncated and you start to thinking Ik Fuyong and Mong Ku Kai Pen as Chinese cuisine, which they are not. Trust me. I had them before. I will never try it again. Which is actually not true. There's a corner store. There's a place in the corner that has been around for as long as I've been in San Francisco. That is changing owner, and is what we used to call chop suey restaurant. Right? They serve chop suey. They still do. People still buy them. I would never eat there. My son, when they were here for the holiday, they ran out of places to eat. They said, "Well, we're gonna have to try it." I said, "You want to try it?" He said, "Yeah, why not?" It's not so bad. It's not so bad. Anyway, so sati for me is anchoring. But what is sati? Well, I'm sorry, mindfulness to me is anchoring. But where is mindfulness? Where does it come from? Let's go back to the beginning. So mindfulness in Pali is sati, S-A-T-I. Its first use is the first translation was in 1881 when there was an English scholar, a scholar from England, who was a Pali language expert. And when he translated the Pali scriptures into English, he encountered this word called sati. And he was the one that chose to translate into mindfulness with a Y, M-Y-N-D. I don't know why. And he specifically says that it means to remember. That back then, originally, that's what it means. I want to tell you the story just so you can remember what sati is. Sati is the name of a goddess. And once upon a time in North India, there were a king and a queen of a small country. It's back then, small country. They're basically landlords, right? They had everything. They had sons by the dozen. They have land. They have citizens. They have good weather. They have everything. They just don't have a daughter. They really, really wanted the daughter. So one day they came to the goddess and they said, "We do whatever you want us to do. We just want to have a daughter." So the goddess Sati says, "Okay, I can be your daughter. I will incarnate into your daughter, but you have to make me a promise. You will never disrespect me. And if you do, you will have to suffer the consequence." And the king and the queen said, "Yeah, we'll do that. No problem." So Sati became the daughter, the only daughter. She grew up pretty. She grew up very, very artistic and all that. Like the most desirable daughter you can ever have. Except she likes to marry below her class. In India, they have this caste system, and the king belongs to the higher caste. And she dared to fall in love with someone from the very low caste, who's actually who turned out to be one of the gods, but just from a low caste. His name is Shiva. Now, Shiva is actually called Adi Yogi. He is actually the original yogi teacher, but that's a different story. But anyway, she married below her below her caste, and so her parents were her father was infuriated. So one day they had a celebration. It was one of those fire offering. You know that when you if you're familiar with the Tibetan practice. And the father decided not to invite the the son-in-law. So Sati came rushing, she came storming in. He says, "Why do you not invite my husband? You insulted my husband, which means that you insulted me. And you remember the promise that you made, you will never disrespect me." So she jumped into the fire and reincarnated as the second wife of Shiva, someone named Parvati, which has a history in the yoga practice, but that's a different story. So when Buddha wants his student to understand the meaning of mindfulness, he used the word sati, just to remember. You make a promise, you remember. Tragically, sati means something else too. It's a practice that has been outlawed in the old days. When the husband died, the widow would jump into the fire with her, thinking that that is how she would remember her husband. That's a sad story, but that's just how the culture works. So with that story, I just want you to think very simply. Whenever we talk about mindfulness, use the word anchoring, nothing else. Just remember, anchor your mind. Where do you anchor? Anchor your mind, mindfulness, mindful of your body. Anchor your mind on your body when you move. When you walk in the street, when you walk in the park, anchor your mind on the bottom of your feet. When you make your breakfast, anchor it on your fingers. When you eat, anchor it on your tongue. Anchor on your body when you're moving. Anchor your body mindful of your breath when you're not moving. So as soon as you sit down, mindful of your breath. You stand up, you're mindful of your breath. You lie down, you're mindful of your breath. Now, connecting that with the lecture I gave, the Dharma talk I gave last week about intelligence versus intellectual system, is really to slow down your brain so you don't judge right away, but instead you focus on the sensation. You unleash the greater part of the intelligence system. Okay, that's what it does. And I think it was Martha or it was somebody else many years ago, a couple of years back, and says she had this experience where she was standing on top of the stairs, she was walking down and she tripped, and the kids, the family around her were just like, oh, what's going to happen? And then she recovered right away. And she wrote to me and says, I couldn't believe that I did that. My son couldn't believe I did that. Well, actually, that is understandable. That when you slow down your intellect and you start to let the intelligence of the rest of the body, in other words, let the spinal cord do the work that it's supposed to do, focus on the sensation, and just let go of the thinking, like the samurais would do before they have a sword fight. You actually react to your sensation, react to the rest of the body without being slowed down by your brain. Remember, this one, the body actually can react 1 billion times a second. This guy is only 10 times a second. Okay, all right. So I'll see you all next week, and we're going to start to understand how mindfulness works with diligence and work with faith and confidence. Okay, all right. See you next week. Keep up the practice. 15 minutes a day, not that much to ask for. If you have spare time, you can alternate breathing exercise one day, Yi Jing the other day, right? Okay, all right. Okay, 星期一見，拜拜。